Hi everyone, my name is Jesse Rodriguez. I'm the Director of Religious Education and Youth Ministry here at Our Lady of Grace. And I'm going to share my quote for Do Something Beautiful for God. And we're going to page 30, March 12th. And it says, there are a few ways to practice humility: to speak as little as possible about oneself, to mind one's own business, not to want to manage other people's affairs, to avoid curiosity, to accept contradictions and corrections cheerfully, to pass over mistakes of others, to accept insult and injuries, to accept being slighted, forgotten, and disliked, to be kind and gentle, even under provocation. So I chose this one because it really spoke to me. You know, for Lent, I'm reading a book called The Unoffendable, and I felt like God was just calling me to this quote. So to practice humility, to speak little about oneself and to mind one's own business. You know, that's kind of a funny thing. Social media doesn't allow us to do this, you know. We speak highly about ourselves. We're always posting beautiful things, and sometimes we're just trying to put a facade, right? And then we like to look at what other people are doing, and we become nosy in a sense. And we make assumptions about people from what we see on social media at times. And that's not fair to them, and that's not real, you know, it's a facade. So I think for me, it's kind of like, do less social media, but also don't put yourself up here, don't put others here, don't talk bad about what they're doing. We don't know the whole story. So really mind our own business. Look within. A lot of times there's a lot of things going on in our heart and in our mind, and to distract ourselves, instead of looking within and dealing with it, we look at other people's shortcomings, and that makes us feel good and forget about what we're doing inside. And maybe I think God's calling us with this quote, you know, before you speak highly of yourself, look within, mind your own business. Don't worry about everyone's shortcomings, worry about your shortcomings, right? And then it kind of challenges even more, not to manage people's affairs. We are not called to control people, we are called to love people. God gave us free will, meaning we can love God, we can worship God freely. It's our own choice. We're not forced to. That's when it's true love, when we make that connection with God. God's not a puppet master controlling us. And other times we want to do that in other people's lives. We want to tell them what to do, where to work, what to eat, where to go to school, and all these things, right? That I hear from youth ministry and parents. And that creates so much friction trying to control others. It's tiring trying to control other people. And so maybe call ourselves, have I been trying to be controlling to someone? Have I been not loving with my words and trying to manipulate what they do? You know, I'm about to be married in about a month or so, and I don't want to manipulate my wife to, hey, I want you to always think this way, say this. I want her to be free, and I want to love her in that freedom. Discover who she is daily, you know. And that's a challenge, because that can be scary, and sometimes we may not like what the other person may say or do, but that's what we're called to love. And that goes to the next part of the quote: to accept contradictions and corrections cheerfully, to pass over mistakes of others, accept insults and injuries, and accept being slighted, forgotten, and disliked, to be kind and gentle even under provocation. So God's calling us, right, to accept the mistakes that people are going to do to us, because people are going to make mistakes. They're human. We're going to make mistakes to other people, and when we make a mistake, we want them to forgive us. So vice versa, when someone does something wrong to us, I'm sure in the deepest part of their heart, they want to be forgiven, or they don't want to be, feel that negative anger towards them. So maybe God's calling us to let that go. And in the book that I'm reading for Lent, The Unoffendable, it says that, God has forgiven us for much worse. Why are we holding on to these grudges for something much less? And so I think we need to practice that. I need to practice that, you know. People are going to make mistakes. They're going to hurt me. But my job is to look past it and say, why am I angry? Because I got hurt. Okay, let me communicate it, but also forgive this person. Because a lot of times we think, if I hold on to this anger, they're finally going to beg for mercy. They're going to beg for forgiveness. And then it's going to feel good, me forgiving them, and then we're going to get over it. No, we're not. It's going to make more tension. You know, when we go to confession, God, or the priest, who represents God, isn't like, come on, tell me what you did wrong, and then I'll forgive you. No, they come with a loving heart. And so we must be that way to others. And so to accept being slighted, forgotten, disliked, to me, is let your ego, it's not all about you, it's not all about me. You know, be small in that, you know. Don't let your ego be inflated. Be kind and gentle under all of it. You know, we're all gonna get hurt some way or somehow with words or actions of others. But God forgives them, so we must forgive them. And I think when we do that, our heart is ready to love God better. Our heart is ready to worship God even more. Because a lot of times we feel, I know I felt it, I've gone to Mass with anger or resentment towards someone, and I receive communion, and then I just feel like I'm receiving you, Lord, but I just feel like I'm not worshiping completely. It's not God, it's not Jesus, not the Eucharist, it's me. And I feel like the only way we can truly celebrate the Eucharist is when we have our heart cleansed of all that and we can receive Jesus in that. Because when we receive Jesus in anger, he's coming into that anger, and he can't work in that anger as well as if we were to work on it. So maybe this Lenten season, God's calling us to accept the injuries, the insults, accept being slighted and forgotten and disliked. And just to say a few words in Spanish. Yo escogí el 12 de marzo, que es en página 30, y no tengo la versión en español, pero yo sé que pienso que es igual. Y que Dios está llamando que no ponemos nosotros acá arriba, que el ego baja, ¿verdad? Y que perdonamos, y que no nos metemos en los negocios de otros, ¿verdad? Siempre a veces queremos controlar a la gente, pero eso no es el amor. El amor no controla, el amor es ahí al lado de la persona, caminando con ellos, y cuando hay errores, caminamos con ellos todavía. Cuando hay victorias, estamos ahí con ellos también, ¿verdad? Y también dice que cuando alguien nos lastima, hay que mover después de eso, ¿verdad? Si nos dicen algo o hacen algo que nos ofende, hay que dejar eso. No hay que tomar lo que los ofenden, ¿verdad? Dejamos eso y amamos a la persona. Dios nos ama y nos ha perdonado por peor, ¿verdad? Que nosotros hemos hecho. ¿Por qué no nosotros podemos perdonar y amar por algo menos? Este Cuaresma, pienso que Dios nos está llamando a limpiar nuestros corazones para cuando vamos al altar a recibir comunión, Jesús puede entrar en un lugar del profundo de nuestros corazones y estar allí y cambiar todo. Cuando tenemos este odio, este ego en nuestro corazón, Jesús puede entrar, pero no va a trabajar como Él quiere, como Él puede, porque el ego, el odio está allí. Este Cuaresma hay que dejar todo y que Dios entra y cambia. Entonces no hay que tomar el ego, no hay que tomar que nos enojamos por algo chiquito y no hay que controlar la gente. Estamos más libres cuando dejamos todo eso. Este Cuaresma hay que dejar que Dios entre y hace algo bonito. Only then, when our heart is empty, when our heart is not full of hate or ego or pride or offense, then God can do something beautiful. Then God can come into our hearts and change our lives. So I hope you guys have a beautiful Lenten season. I hope you're all enjoying this book. But most of all, I hope you are having that beautiful moment with Jesus when you come to Mass and He does something beautiful in your heart. God bless. Que Dios me lo bendiga. Adiós.
From my desire to be loved, from my desire to be extolled, from my desire to be honored, from my desire to be praised, from my desire to be preferred to, from my desire to be consulted, from my desire to be approved. Deliver me, Jesus. Oh Jesus, meek and humble-hearted, hear my prayer, hear my prayer. Oh Jesus, meek and humble-hearted, hear my prayer, hear my prayer. And from the fear to be humbled, from the fear to be despised, from fear of suffering rebuke, from the fear to be defamed, from the fear to be forgotten, from the fear of ridicule, fear to be wronged or suspected. Deliver me, Jesus. Oh Jesus, meek and humble-hearted, hear my prayer,